Disease. Discover Matthew 10:5-15. Clearly, Jesus is giving his disciples a preaching mission. They are to go and tell everyone the good news. But it also sounds a lot like a medical mission. Heal the sick, cure leprosy, cast out demons. This is a mission to restore wholeness and health, to repair people who are physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually broken. And it comes at a minimal cost. The apostles are not to take money with them, nor even anything to store money in. 10:10. The business of heaven is not for profit. They are issuing invitations, not invoices. Medical care today is big business. The pharmaceutical companies spend millions developing and promoting their products. It's not unreasonable to want some of that back. But how much? When we are dealing with the poorest people on earth, how can we expect them to afford drugs? Should the cost of treatment be a barrier to the healing they need? Expenses must be paid, but mercy should not be expensive. Dream well-stocked medical cupboards, warm dry beds, privacy, speedy attention, specialist expertise. Pray that all people would be able to receive such care. Do. Look at all the medicines you have in your house. Estimate their worth. Then donate an equivalent amount of money to an area that really needs medicines. Do you know any doctors or nurses? They may know a way of getting basic medical supplies to a charity that can use them. Lord our God, you are good and kind. You heal our bodies, renew our hopes, and bring us home. Chains. Discover Deuteronomy 26:5-10. The speech tells the story. Each individual worshiper repeats the shared history. A homeless Aramean gives birth to a mighty nation. The nation becomes enslaved. God rescues them. It's one of the defining moments in the relationship between God and Israel. They were slaves, and God rescued them. At its worst, slavery in the ancient world was a life of unremitting punishment. At its best, it was like being part of an extended family. But slaves never forgot that they were objects. They were owned. In our own times, slavery has officially been abolished. Yet unofficially, in many parts of the world, people are still enslaved, and chains can come in many forms. People can be shackled by low wages, as well as by leg irons. God forever is a God of freedom. The work begun in Egypt 3 millennia ago continues today. Wherever slavery exists in the world, He still wants us to set people free. After all, we too have been freed from slavery to sin. We are all slaves. Dream, look at your clothes. Under what conditions do you imagine they were made? To ask retailers what they know about the workers who make the products on their shelves. Can they assure you that their products are fairly traded? People who have been in serious trouble prayed to you, Lord, and you rescued them. You brought them out of deepest darkness and broke their chains. Do it today, Lord. Well, discover John 4:3-26. Midday, the sun at its hottest, a woman comes to the well to fetch water and finds a stranger sitting there, a Jew. He speaks to her. He asks her for a drink. A single Jewish man talking to an unchaperoned woman, and a Samaritan at that. Doesn't he know the rules? There are lots of rules that guide behavior, designed to keep people in their place, to keep women at the well. They are denied education and employment, status and respect. Some are little more than slaves. It was the same when Jesus was around, but he had no time for rules. Throughout his ministry, he showed a special regard to women. Women were among his followers. They came to listen to him, Matthew 15:38. They supported him even when the men had deserted him, Luke 8:1-3, Mark 15:40. And he rewarded their faith, Matthew 9:20-22. Jesus gave women a value and attention that was radically different in the socially rigid hierarchies of first century Judaism. Why? Because the water of life was for everybody. That was one of his rules. Trim, what do the women do in your household? Compare that with how women are treated in other parts of the world. No status games, just men and women working as partners everywhere. Could it happen? Don't be afraid of such a vast subject. Dive right in and spend 15 minutes reading about women's rights. Be a revolutionary. Treat everyone with the same kindness that Jesus did. Lord, you make each one of us feel special by calling us to be your very own and answering our prayers. City Discover, Revelation 21:3-7. The Old Testament prophets looked forward to a rebuilt city of Jerusalem at the heart of a transformed Israel. John sees further to a new heaven and new earth, the final expression of the kingdom of God. And what a vision it is, the holy city, the new Jerusalem, where God actually lives among his people. We're referring to Isaiah 25:6-9. There is no more suffering, no more tears, death, crying, and pain are things of the past. The cities on earth are so often associated with the squalor and poverty and alienation. We know, and the Bible tells us, that people deserve better than this. At the same time, it reminds us that we are all in temporary accommodation. This beautiful but broken earth, with its suffering and sadness, will one day be no more. Instead, there will be the new heaven and new earth, and the city where the pain, death, suffering, and crying have been wiped away. We will get there. We will be together, and God will be with us. Are you coming or not? Dream. If you were to make a new city with God at the center, what would it look like? Can you draw it? To read the history of a city or look at photographs of cities. Visit a city and walk as many roads as you can. Think about what your area needs to give people a healthy, happy life. Talk about it with friends. Contribute to discussions about your environment. Lord, you shine brightly from the center of your city, calling together everyone on earth.